Hey everyone, hope you're doing good. Hope you're having a great day. We are reading more from the excellent compilation of Native American indigenous peoples collections of myths, legends, lore, and religion. Alright, this is a story from the Cheyenne tribe, and it's titled Where the Girl Saved Her Brother. In the summer of 1876, the two greatest battles between soldiers and Indians were fought on the plains of Montana. The first fight was called the Battle of the Rosebud. The second, which was fought a week later, was called the Battle of the Little Bighorn, where General Custer was defeated and killed. Oh, wow. The Cheyennes call the Battle of the Rosebud the fight where the girl saved her brother. Let me tell you why. Well, 100 years ago, the white men wanted the Indians to go into prisons called reservations to give up their freedom to roam and hunt buffalo, to give up being Indians. Some tamely submitted and settled down behind the barbed wire of the agencies, but others did not. What I like here is freedom to roam. That is a beautiful expression of just being outside and walking and walking. Reminds me of hiking, right? We all like to go hiking and such. However, even if you're not on a reservation, some ghettos is too dangerous to walk. And just recently in New York, there was that viral video where a man was walking with his daughter, and somebody pulled up. They stuck out their hand out of the car. Pop, pop, pop. They shot him. Boom, he died right there. Right in front of his kid, broad daylight, as he was crossing the street. So you're not even able to really roam anymore within cities. It's actually very troubling. Chicago, Philadelphia, New York, Oakland, Richmond in California, East LA. There's some difficult areas. It's a risk. Tells you what kind of world we've created. Wow, and like he says here, to hunt buffalo, so to do something noble, to hunt. Now, going to the store, it's a risk. Some tamely submitted. So what I like about that part is those who just went along to get along, but they didn't see the barbed wire and think of it as a problem, right? Those who went to the reservations to live like white men were called friendlies. Those who would not go were called hostiles. Oh yes, so okay, yes. I remember that type of terminology. I didn't remember the friendlies, but I definitely remember the hostiles. With that word used in literature. They weren't hostile, really. They didn't want to fight. All they wanted was to be left alone to live the Indian way, which was a good way. What I like about this also is to live in the way in which you see fit to be free, not to just be on a reservation forced to live the way others want you to live. It's a beautiful thing. But the soldiers would not leave them alone. They decided to have a great roundup and catch all the hostiles, kill those who resisted, and bring the others back to the agencies as prisoners. 3 columns of soldiers entered the last stretch of land left to the Red Man. They were led by General Crook, Terry, and Custer. Crook had the most men with him, about 2,000. He also had cannon and Indian scouts to guide him. See, what's interesting there is the Indians divided and were pretty much defeated because of that. And other reasons, guns, germs, and such. At the Rosebud, he met the united Sioux and Cheyenne warriors. The Indians had danced the sacred sun dance. The great Sioux chief and holy man, Sitting Bull, had been granted a vision telling him that the soldiers would be defeated. The warriors were in high spirits. Some men belonging to famous warrior societies had vowed to fight until they were killed, singing their death songs. Notice this, so the warriors in high spirits, brave men going to defend and fight until they died. That's masculinity, that's nobleness, virtue, the sacrifice that men have made to protect women and children and the elderly. It's beautiful. singing their death songs. Imagine the power of that. Singing your own death song would be sort of like reciting your own funeral prayer, right? Throwing their lives away, as it was called, they painted their faces for war. They put on their finest outfits so that if they were killed, their enemies would say, "This must have been a great chief. See how nobly he lies there." The old chiefs instruct the new men how to act. The medicine men prepare protective charms for the fighters, putting gopher dust on their hair or painting their horses with hailstone designs. This was to render them invisible to their foes or to make them bulletproof. Brave Wolf, I like that name, had the most admired medicine, a mounted hawk that he fastened to the back of his head. He always rode into battle blowing his eagle bone whistle. Eagle bone whistle, that sounds cool. And once the fight started, the hawk came alive and whistled too. Many proud tribes were there besides the Cheyenne, the Hunkpapa, the Minokunju, the Oglala, the Burn Thighs, the Two Kettles. Many brave chiefs and warriors came, including Two Moons, White Bull, Dirty Moccasins, that's a cool name, Little Hawk, Yellow Eagle, and Lame White Man. That's funny. Among the Sioux was the Great Crazy Horse and Sitting Bull, their holy man, still weak from his flesh offerings made at the sun dance, and the fierce Rain in the Face. That is a cool name, because when you're running and that rain goes in your face, you can't really see. So that is fierce, right? Blocking your vision. Who can count them all? What a fine sight they were. Those who had earned the right to wear war bonnets were singing, lifting them up. 3 times they stopped in their singing, and the 4th time they put the bonnets on their heads, letting the streamers fly and trail behind them. How good it must have been to see this. Even me, I'd want to see it. Crazy Horse of the Ogala shouted his famous war cry, "A good day to die, and a good day to fight. Cowards to the rear, brave hearts follow me." Look at that. Heck yeah. The fight started. Many brave deeds were done. Many coups counted. The battle swayed to and fro. More than anybody else's, this was the Cheyennes' fight. This was their day. Among them was a brave young girl, Buffalo Calf Road Woman, who rode proudly beside her husband. See that? The unit, this family marriage unit, this love, these dynamics, right? Going into battle together. Black Coyote. That's good. So her name is Buffalo Calf Road Woman. So, and then her husband is Black Coyote. Very cool. Her brother Chief comes in sight. Was in battle too. She looked for him, and at last saw him surrounded, his horse killed from under him. Soldiers were aiming their rifles at him, while their crow scouted circled around him and waited for an opportunity to count coups, but he fought them off with courage and skill. Buffalo Calf Road Woman uttered a shrill, high-pitched war cry. She raced her pony into the midst of the battle, into the midst of the enemy. She made the spine-chilling, trilling, trembling sound of the Indian woman, encouraging her man during the fight. Look at that. Beautiful. So look at these brave women. They have noble brothers, and they're fighting, encouraging their men to be masculine and strong and fierce and courageous, not degrading them down to make them submissive to the enemy, right? They're helping their men be strong and energized. They see the value in that. They see how important it is to encourage the men in your culture to do good, to fight good, not to be degenerate, right? Chief comes in sight, jumped upon on her horse behind her. Buffalo Calf Road Woman laughed with joy in the excitement of battle, and all the while she sang. The soldiers were firing at her, and their crow scouts were shouting arrows at her horse, but it moved too fast for her and her brother to be hit. Then she turned her horse and raced up the hill from which the old chiefs and the medicine men were watching the battle. The Sioux and the Cheyenne saw what she was doing, and then the white soldiers saw it too. They all stopped fighting and watched the brave girl saving her brother's life. That's beautiful. Brothers and sisters, man, saving each other's life. The warriors raised their arms and set up a mighty shout. A long, undulating war cry that made one's hair stand up on end. And even some of the soldiers threw their caps in the air and shouted, "Hurrah!" in honor of Buffalo Calf Road woman. The battle was still young. Not many men had been killed on either side. But the white general was thinking, if their women fight like this, what will their warriors be like? Even if I win, I will lose half my men. And so General Crook retreated 100 miles or so. He was to have joined up with Custer, Old Yellow Hair, but when Custer had to fight the same Cheyenne and Sioux a week later, Crook was far away, and Custer's regiment was wiped out. Look at that. So in a way, Buffalo Calf Red Woman contributed to that battle too. Many who saw what she had done thought she had counted the biggest coup of all, not taking life but giving it. That's why the Indians called the Battle of the Rosebud the fight where the girl saved her brother. The spot where Buffalo Calf Red Woman counted her coup has long since been plowed under. A ranch now covers it, but the memory of her deed will last as long as there are Indians. This is not a fairy tale, but it sure is a legend. Told by Rachel Strangeow, Bernie, Montana, with the assistance of 2 or 3 others, recorded by Richard Erdos. So that means that there were some translators there. That is a badass story. Brothers and sisters helping each other, women helping men, women being brave, men being brave, noble, beautiful, just fantastic.